Virginity. What is it? And what's the big deal about losing it? Let me cut to the chase. Virginity is a completely made-up concept. It's a term that was created simply to control and shame people, mainly women. A virgin is someone who's never had sex, but it's not as simple as it seems. For one thing, medically, virginity isn't a real thing. In some cultures, people place a lot of importance on the hymen, a thin, fleshy tissue located at the opening of your vagina, as a marker of virginity. But the status of your hymen doesn't actually mean anything. That's because having penis and vagina sex is not the only way a hymen can stretch open. It can happen by putting something in your vagina like a tampon or a finger, riding a bike, or doing sports. So you can't tell if someone's had sex by the way their hymen looks or feels. Another reason the idea of virginity is complete nonsense is that sex means different things to different people. Generally speaking, society tends to define sex in a very narrow way: penetration, penis into vagina. But where does that definition leave queer people? Or folks who can't or don't have penis and vagina sex and choose to have oral, anal, or another type of sex instead? And not everyone's first sexual experience is consensual, meaning that they were forced or pressured into having sex. There is also a double standard on who carries the burden of virginity. Society puts pressure on men for not having sex at the exact same time they shame women for having it. Make it make sense. Either way, shame has no place in someone's personal decisions about sex. It's time to throw away the notion of losing your virginity. What if instead of losing something, we reframe it as gaining? Because the truth is, when we make our own decision to become sexually active, we aren't setting ourselves up to lose anything at all. We hope we are gaining things like intimacy, self-insight, pleasure, and empowerment. All of these myths around sex and virginity can be so hurtful and overwhelming. But here's the one truth you should remember. Sex is defined by one thing and one thing only: you. Maybe that's being fingered for the first time. Maybe it's having anal sex. Maybe it's having your first orgasm. Maybe it's masturbating for the first time, or when you enthusiastically consent to sex. That's the beauty of your sexual journey. You're in charge, and you can figure it out on your own terms. Choosing to have sex, when, what kind, where, who with, is something that only you get to define.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, Akeem.
Hey,
What's your take on it, man?
I guess I'm gonna become a Catholic priest now. If they running this, listen here. This is the issue that I have. They making things up as long as we go along. This is the problem. I don't know what to say. I'm even shocked that this even is putting out there. And it's sponsored by Planned Parenthood to teach us to be more sexually promiscuous instead of having sex within the compound of a relationship and the way the doctrine of God has already presented to us. They don't even understand the economic negative effects when you're very promiscuous. Our social services are hemorrhaging when kids are born out of wedlock. Food stamps, adoptions, all these kids need home. Let's do this the right way. When she say this, I don't know what she talking about. The liberals are striking again. It's these type of stuff that make me become all conservative again. You tell me that virginity doesn't mean anything, and this is for the ladies. Yes, yes. Um, some things are very chauvinistic and male controlled. What can we do about it? We could try to change it. A lot of it ain't going to do it. But here's the thing. I'm from the 90s. I'm a little bit older. And the concept of virginity and the concept of being pure Men do care about these things when they want to care about parent bond, and we want the same thing for our daughters. We want the same thing for our sons. You might not think about this, but those conversations are had with their sons as well. Hey, we don't want you to be out here sleeping. If he was raised in a household that was respectful. So that stuff she was promoting, that's new to me. I don't know nothing about that. My kids won't be. When I have kids, I'm gonna be involved in my daughter's sex life. A lot of people might think that's weird. We might be Muslim. I might treat her like a Muslim and get her married off. They'll say, "Hey, yo, listen. First person who tapped that ass, the last person who tapped that ass is your husband." Same thing with my son. First person you tap that ass, last person you tap that ass is your wife.
Hakeem, man, I don't know where we are going because this is some new stuff, and will not be surprised this was made here in California because they're doing a lot of stuff here in California, shaking some stuff up. But the plan, it had to be the LGBTQ had to be involved with this situation about Planned Parenthood because how she was talking like she was one of the LGBTQ was in the alphabet community. That's what it sounded like to me. This is definitely sound like to me, you know. And like stuff like this is like back in the day, you know. I never heard. I would say like parenthood in general, not to that extent. What she talk about, you know. I never heard about things about that. All this I learned from my mom talk about the birds and the bees. Or my father-in-law just talk about that about about sex, about the birds and bees and everything. And I feel like what Natasha was saying, it should be taught about your parents and everything, But when it comes to this mess right here, that's why I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna put my child onto get onto the internet very early or get on the TikTok stuff like that because and also monitoring my daughter as well by watching some stuff like this because it's a lot of stuff on these internets, social medias, on televisions, commercials, movies that promotes a lot of sexual liberation and what I'm not cool with. There was a movie I just saw. I forgot the movie, but it was he was one of shoot. He was I think he was in NAACP with Martin Luther King and everything. And I was like, okay, cool. I was watching the movie. And then 20 minutes in, I found out the man was gay. I was like, oh no, I don't know about this. I don't know. I wasn't comfortable. But he was like in a kind of in a gay relationship, he touching everything. I was like, wow, this is surprised me and everything. And you see a lot of more and more of this on movies and everything. That's why I kind of watch movies no more like that. Like watching new movies. Because sometimes when stuff like that pops up, I mean, I'm not hating or anything. Like I said, it is what it is, But for me, I'm not comfortable watching it, because I never seen that, when I was, watching movies in the 90s and 2000s. But these new movies in the 2020s and everything, they're really pushing this agenda. And I'm not, and the thing is like, I know for some men that watch this and everything, it kind of turns that way. Now they're not comfortable watching stuff like this. So when I'm hearing parenthood and stuff like that, it's like, yo, man, what the hell's going on, yo? It's just a smaller agenda just pushing, into the YouTube, the social media, commercials, and won't be surprised that it's going to be pushed in some of these schools here as well and everything. And I think, and that's what I kind of worry about and everything. What school I put my child in and everything at the time, because and here in California, it's really reckoned up out here and everything. So for me, I don't like that, especially in my household and everything, because this is what we don't practice in our household. So for me, I just got to be very I'm gonna say word. Just be very be very careful of here of what my child watch, what school that she goes to that kind of promotes stuff like this, because it's just coming more and more and more, man. And people that's family who's like Christians or Muslims who has like a family structure that don't mess with that type of things. I just feels like it's kind of knocking on their door and they try to push it away and really try to be be make sure your child is fully sexually liberated, which I don't want my child to be either. You know, I know there might be stuff that my child might experience some things, but it's important for as parents just be there for your child. Talk about stuff that they're going through, what they're feeling, and everything. Just like we have done from generation for generation for generation. So yeah, man, how we turning it right now, man, it's not looking good.
Jordan, you always hit it right on the nail, right on the nail, right on the nail. My brother, I'm just gonna add on to this thing. He said people have been calling out Parenthood for years. Um, Natasha, this is so beautiful that you said go on dates with your kids, ask them about their day, what they're watching, what questions they have, and what they're thinking, and you always will be surprised how much to process. One thing. Now, Natasha, we're very lucky being raised in the Western Hemisphere where there's the concept of dating. And I don't know if a lot of people, Natasha, I don't know, remember, at one point I was Muslim. And you could not go on date with a Muslim girl. There's no such the concept of dating is not there. You can hang out, and her brother or her dad has to be in the facility at the date, at the thing. If we all go out to the movies, her dad, her dad are going out, or her older brother, and they sitting in between you. Now, there's a point that I want to get, and DB, I want to stress this fact. My ideology is based on my upbringing. My mother is very fundamentally is a Christian. I've explored religions in different ways, but my mother has always frowned on promiscuity. On me and my brother, she had our foot on our necks. My brother didn't have his child until he was 45. I'm 40. I'm 42. I still don't have no kids. I didn't.
I'm 33. I'm about to have my first child.
About to have his first child. And listen here, DB. Listen here, DB. She's very and listen, she had focused on us and very focused on marriage. So we're very strict on this. And here's the thing. I want to comment on what Jordan did. My mother restrict us from watching certain things, reading certain literatures. And this is why we're at this stage where we're very conservative about sex, kids, marriage, and a lot of other things due to our upbringing. So a lot of people won't understand this, and they probably think, "Oh, this was your dad." No, my dad doesn't have outside kids. So this is a cultural thing we do. It's a lot of men in my family who still don't have kids due to the women in our family. You might have thought it was the men, due to the women in our family who was very strict about this. And mind you, and you want to know where the strictness come from? Religion. Now, here's the thing. We might want to, a lot of people might not want to like to hear this. A lot of the liberals are talking this stuff, removing religion, removing culture out of these things when we were based in a lot of black Southerners. I'm talking about real black Southerners, real Midwestern people from back in the days. A lot of the stuff that are being presented now would not be agreed. She said, I don't agree with promiscuity either. To be 31, no kids, celibate for 3 years, never had sex outside of a committed relationship. So, DB, listen, we're right here. We're right here, baby. So you understand. So that ideology, what me and you are on, you're gonna pass that on to your own kids. So we can agree with what she's saying is this is indoctrination right now to make us more loose. Our kids are already loose as it is. When we leave them to their own vices, that's why I'm even strict about letting a kid have their own iPad unless if it's not controlled. Because I
Exactly.
can take I got
It's like you
a
gotta have a child lock on that boy.
listen. I got a friend going through some things right now, and he has a daughter. He's a single father. He's a single father going through some things with his daughter, and these things that are telling them in school.
Yes, it is. It is a word. Urban noise. It's in a dictionary. Look it up.
Yeah, indoctrination. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a word.
Hey, them boys used to hear me talking ghetto all day. They not used to me.
It's
Hey, listen.
indoctrination.